We're back at Brookfield Zoo. We're installing the aquatic plants and we're getting everything ready for the flamingos and wood storks. So this has been an incredible transformation. So back here at the Brookfield Zoo, working in the swamp exhibit and then changing out all of these existing features into a bioactive ecosystem. What I love about this is we're kind of breaking away from the norm. Instead of filling this up with water, allowing the animals to utilize it and then draining it away, we're going to allow this system to operate for many months, if not a year, before ever draining the water out. And we're going to rely on a mixture of ecosystem technologies. We have skimmer systems to capture floating debris. We have small wetland filters and aquatic planters that are going to add the aquatic vegetation that will allow the root zones to come down inside of the ecosystem to utilize the nutrients. We're also adding different types of beneficial microorganisms, beneficial bacteria inside of the system to populate everything, the engine behind it all. They're responsible for the breakdown of all the organic compounds, and then they're going to turn it back into those nutrients that the plants could utilize. The combination of the AquaBlox, we have bioballs, we have biochar, we have different layers of river rock. All of these different things are home to the microorganisms, creating a home for life. All these different pieces together are going to give us the desired water quality and results that we're looking for right here at the zoo. All right, check this out. Getting ready to start installing the wetland first. Cleaned out everything on the bottom. Actually, we still have to kind of sweep up some of the debris down on the bottom. We are going to keep this drain accessible. That drain will now become accessible through our snorkel vault. I also have to come in and build a trench system. We are not cutting down into the bottom. So what we will do is come in with concrete block and build up on the side, and then we will backfill around it with crushed stone to give us the right elevations to create a platform that we could actually work off of to create all of our AquaBlox, our biofiltration media, as well as the river rock, which is going to support the new aquatic plants that are going to be growing inside. They're currently in the process of redoing the skylights up here, so we will have better sunlight coming in. This will allow us to utilize real aquatic plants inside of this feature, which is going to make a big difference in the overall function of everything. And I will also do a walkthrough so you can see how everything is going to be connected. Here is a different angle coming in. This is going to be the heart of the system, so this is what I'm really excited about for this particular project. So this feature is going to become an open air aviary. So they've had waterfowl and different types of birds in here in the past, but now this is all going to be a free flight type of a setup, so the birds will have access to the entire space. The other thing that we want to try to do is get away from the traditional draining and cleaning of the pool and then refilling with chlorinated water. What we want to try to do is create a bioactive system using living water the way nature intended it to be. Once it is cycled, we're going to have microbes, we're going to have bacteria, we're going to have different types of enzymes living inside of the feature, which is going to be incredible for the animals that are living inside of here. That drain down at the bottom is going to have our snorkel vault, which will be positioned there. That's going to allow for periodic maintenance. We'll have a water distribution system down in the bottom, and then this will be an entire active bed of filtration. Now the water flow is going to come in from over here. We're going to core drill out a hole, so it's going to connect to our skimmer system. 2 skimmers located in here. That's going to capture all the floating debris. Now in this application, we are not outdoors clearly, but we are going to get leaf debris. These are actually live plants inside of here, so we will get some branches and leaves and things falling inside. A biofilter is only good if you have a good pre-filter, because biofilters are very finicky. The microorganisms living inside of the filter bed, they do not like to get sediments on them. That's going to inhibit their growth. Now over here, this is our connecting point. This is going to allow the water from the wetland to overflow into the next pool, which will continue making its cycle. The other thing that we're going to be adding here is a series of recirculating jets, because what we want to try to do is have high circulation. We're creating more of a riverine type of a system, so we want to have as much water flow as possible, pushing the debris, the sediments and things to the skimmers. Big debris will be filtered out. The finer sediments are going to be deposited down inside of the wetland for periodic removal. All right, we just positioned the snorkel vault. You can see you have these little lines over here. That's where the centipede's gonna go. We will also have a centipede coming off of this back section. We cut the bottom of the snorkel vault off. We didn't cut the entire bottom off. We cut it so it would fit flush. And that's because the way the concrete was coming in, it was coming in at different angles. We'll cover that up, and then we're gonna come in behind all of this with crushed stone so we could actually set those centipedes exactly at the elevation that we're looking for. You can see they just brought in some of these concrete blocks. We're going to make a series of walls to kind of create a trough on either side. And it needs to be level with the top of the centipede, so that way when we put our AquaBlox across, it'll make everything nice and smooth and clean. As our high velocity water comes in on the one end, solids are going to drop out into this bottom little trough. The clean water then flows out of these slots. The slots then are going to be in contact with the next layer of AquaBlox. Animal waste is different. This is completely different than a fish pond. Working with waterfowl, they have different diets, they have different wastes, so we want to make sure that we could manage all that. We are down to the final step. You can see we have our bigger river stone down in here. It's just filled up a lot of the bulk space, and now we're coming over the top of the 3/8 inch chip, which is perfect for leveling, so we're just screeding that out. We'll take all this fabric that we have extra and rolled up, we'll fold it back over, so we're going to encapsulate all of that material. That's going to give us a good working platform for the AquaBlox, which will go on top of that. Now the next layer in this particular project, because of all the waterfowl, is going to be another layer of small AquaBlox with a mixture of bioballs and biochar. It's going to help give us better water quality overall. Then we'll cap everything off with another layer of the river rock, so we still get a little bit of that phytoremediation, because we are going to plant this. So because of the skylights, we're going to be able to have aquatic vegetation growing inside of here, which is going to be huge. So the root systems are going to go down and penetrate into the gravel bed, which is going to give us that really good symbiotic mixture of river stone, the periphyton that grows around the rock and the root systems and everything, the epilithic bacteria, all of that good stuff working together to give us the desired water quality. Centipedes in place. We have the first layer of AquaBlox, which is the sedimentation chamber. Then we're going to start to assemble the next layer, which is going to be filled with biomedia. But we do have some unique little spots, like over in these corners. We will continue to build AquaBlox and then cut them so we can fit them into the appropriate locations, just to kind of cube this all out. All right, we are at the backfilling process. We're trying to put them under compression. You can see we folded up some of that fabric on the back side. You have the option to leave it either way. It's kind of dirty material, so we're going to do it on the back side just to keep some of that sediment from washing back inside. But what that's going to do is going to lock everything into position. It's also going to create a wider platform, so the next layer of AquaBlox is actually going to be able to extend a little bit further. You can see Trevor hooked up the plumbing earlier. We're leveling out just to do that final layer of AquaBlox going across, but this is really turning into a really nice layout for this wetland filtration system. We're modifying the existing structure just to make those necessary adjustments so we can continue moving forward with creating a bioactive type of a system. We are filling 2/3 of the cells, so you can see there's 3 openings in one AquaBlox. 2/3 of it we're going to do with bioballs, and then the middle section we're doing a media bag, and we're using biochar, which is going to give us the additional filtration that we're looking for. Pipe right here, pipe connection comes into the centipede, fast moving water comes in, flows down, 93% reduction in water velocity. See all these little fins and all this stuff inside of here. There's also internal plates inside of here. So as the water comes up, we're breaking up the laminar flow, which means there's lots of turbulence, which creates these little micro eddies, which is going to allow the sedimentation process to occur. So they could open a valve and it will backflush this automatically for us, which will be fantastic. It should take the water 10 minutes for the water to flow from the bottom of this block all the way to this top. Then the water is going to come into contact with the next layer of AquaBlox. That's the main viewing area, is right over here. So we want to have this open area of water, and then we want to have some pockets of vegetation around here just to kind of create this corridor, this beautiful view going all the way through the entire aviary. If you look around, there are a series of viewing windows. These doors actually get opened up. This is where flamingos kind of walk back and forth all throughout this area. So what I like about this is during feeding, any of the extra residual food will get swept into the skimmers, which is going to help with overall maintenance. So we're going to have this flexible PVC. We're going to drop it down along this bottom edge, and we're going to have a series of pipe penetrations going through where we could have access to that high velocity water. The number one thing from an effective water feature standpoint is overall circulation. I don't mind having some backwater areas and some dead zones and things like that because it is normal. We want to minimize it though, so we want to try to have as much dissolved oxygen and flow just so we can manage the large organic compounds. If we can do that, it's going to make everything easier for us in the long run.
So I am back here at Brookfield Zoo. Ed is actually out in Africa, so he is not able to come out here and make these minor adjustments, but I really quickly wanted to show you what I'm doing. As you can see, everything is epoxy coated now, so they've kind of started to finish up a lot of this. Over there, you can see I've already done the work, but what we're doing is Ed is always experimenting and basically figuring out the best way to do things and even trying out new things to see if there is a better way to do or accomplish what we're already doing. So in this case, we were trying out something called a uniseal fitting, plumbed in line with our 3/4 inch lock line. We have this flexible pipe that runs through, and then we usually will tap in with fittings like you saw on the other side, and then thread in these 3/4 inch fittings that allow us to create our circulation jet system. In this case, we were trying to actually plumb in the rubber uniseal fitting and just drill a hole and pop it in. That's how that fitting is made to work. For this particular application, being in a zoo, with the amount of maintenance and different things that are happening in here, Ed had asked me to come out here and make a couple of quick adjustments to this because they weren't super confident in the way that it was fitting and sealing. So I'm basically gonna cut these sections out, and then I'm gonna splice in a T-fitting with 3/4 inch threaded bushing, and then just thread this guy in per usual. So this is a great change for the zoo, in my opinion. Looking forward to seeing the thing completely running with all the animals in here. Let me get back to it so we can get this thing rolling.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. I'm gonna take the Flamingo Pond to the next level. Instead of draining and cleaning out the feature on a routine basis, we're gonna create a bioactive ecosystem. And one of the keys to a bioactive system is plant material. Earlier this summer, Thomas Holt brought up some incredible plants out of South Florida. We planted up the wetland filtration system right here at Aqualand. Now it's time to harvest because, as you can tell, the weather is turning on us. We're gonna have frost later on this week. All these plants will 100% be dead. So we wanna save them. I wanna take these plants that have actively been growing inside of the wetland filter, and then we're gonna transplant them into the brand new ecosystem over at the Brookfield Zoo. The beauty of that is we have intact root systems now that we can transplant directly into the gravel media over at the zoo. This is gonna jumpstart the ecosystem, and it's gonna give us the results that we're looking for. I'm here with Mike Gannon, Full Service Aquatics, as well as that pond place. Which you are supplying driftwood all over the Northeast, and also now in the Midwest.
Yeah, exactly. We're happy to be out here at Aquascape to bring some hard driftwood out here for you guys to use in your best creative processes.
Mike actually came down last night and actually arrived just this morning.
Yeah, we got here last night, middle of the night. Aqualand was closed down. We left our trailer and came back this morning and unloaded with the guys.
So we were packing up all the aquatic plants, getting ready to head down, and all of a sudden last minute I'm like, let's go see what type of driftwood we had, and we show up and back, and all of a sudden all this stuff was there. We're like, where did this come from?
Beautiful cypress driftwood, water cured.
Yep.
Some of the pieces are a couple hundred years old. They've been underwater. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
I mean, just look at the character in these things. They are rock solid.
Super, super dense. These will last a long time.
Yep.
And just the character, the beauty, just everything about it is just Awesome. We brought some cool logs too.
I know.
Just a handful, but just having something like this with
Yes.
maybe water coming through it, who knows? Well, we're happy to bring this out to you guys. I hope you guys use it and make amazing things with it.
We're using it. We already loaded up the truck. I wish I had more room.
Excellent.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Ed. Where's the lily sheriff when you need him?
So here at the Brookfield Zoo, they're all about education. So this is what I love about working at zoos, because we want to try to impact the importance of all these different little things that we're doing on a daily basis. This is where I came as a boy 50 years ago. So this was a place that really instilled inside of me my love for nature. And this is really important moving forward because we're seeing a shift in the zoological world. Starting to see, instead of just animals in boxes and cages, we're starting to see these open ecosystems, which is awesome, where you have multiple species working together, living symbiotically together as one unit, because that's exactly what we find in nature. Swamps. You know, everybody always has traditionally thought about swamps as being a wasteland. Cut everything down, drain the water out, but in fact, you don't want to do that because the biodiversity inside of these incredible ecosystems is very, very valuable. So again, just these simple little illustrations. What happens when we remove trees? The trees come out, biodiversity in the ecosystem changes, dissolved oxygen changes, you bring in homes right up to the edge. This is where you get flooding, so there's no floodplains anymore. So we're seeing changes in our natural environment, but a lot of these changes are unfortunately happening by us, but all it takes is little minute things. H2O also, to me, means homes to oceans. This is homes to oceans. By understanding what happens in our backyard, understanding these little backyard ecosystems, it is really, really critical as humans that we understand the importance of the hydrologic cycle, because if you look at our globe from a satellite imagery, you'll realize very, very quickly it is a blue planet. It is a water-based ecosystem. So we really need to understand our impacts on a daily basis if we want to have sustainable living for the future. And obviously that is really, really important. I mean, I've talked about root zones 1,000 times on the various vlogs. When you look underneath, you have newts and tadpoles, sunfish, snails, snapping turtles, all these different things living together as one. And that's exactly why we're here. Until we arrived here at Brookfield Zoo, they were doing a very traditional system. It was a concrete vessel. They would fill it with water, they would drain it away periodically, and they'd come in and sweep all the detritus and stuff out of the way. It's not really how the real world works. There's important biofilms and things like that that are going to live in there, and I think it's very important, especially for the animals that are going to be inside of this ecosystem, because they've developed, they've adapted over eons of amount of time to live in true aquatic habitats and wetlands and swamps and fens and bogs and you name it, all these different little riparian habitats. I love it. I can't wait to come back here. Everything that we've done up to this point has just been phenomenal here. I love the team. Everybody is jumping on board, and it's all about that collaborative effort. So I know I've just rattled off a whole ton of stuff, and I hope I'm making everybody think a little bit differently. So please ask me questions, because I would love to go live, answer everybody's questions, but you have to start asking me questions, because then I could actually produce the necessary content that hopefully will make a difference in this world. So stay tuned for that. So this is the sawmill pool. We put in the skimmers. We have a mini wetland that we built over here, just utilizing some of the existing structures that we had to work with. So we put in a block wall down at this bottom section, filled that in with the small AquaBlox, then we loaded it up with the river rock on top of it to create a mini wetland filter. We also put in a series of underwater jets, and actually I could see from here some of the little leaves kind of blowing through. The plants we put in, even though they are fairly mature, they are going to get much larger. So we have this beautiful cypress tree coming up. So this is going to create a big peninsula coming out, kind of create that twisting, turning, meandering type feel by having these peninsulas. By putting in these erratic plantings or strategic plantings, we could actually blur some of those lines. There's actually a large planter log going across this back area, and it was really, really straight. So just by layering in a few different plants at different locations, it totally blurs the line between all of that, and it gives us the desired look. So from here, let's go take a look at the larger feature, which is the flamingo section, which I've been calling the flamingo section, which is over on the other end. We connected 3 pools into one recirculating system. Anytime I'm designing and building an ecosystem feature, the first thing that I do is I figure out the intake system. So if it's a skimmer, if it's an intake bay, negative edge, and I know I'm using a lot of these terms interchangeably, but basically what it is, it's a suction point. So there's a pump inside of there, water gets drawn into an opening, and then the water's going to get pre-filtered through a basket of some sort. There's going to be leaf debris coming down. Even though we are inside of an atrium, there's going to be leaf shed. Instead of just allowing that stuff to decompose on the bottom, we want to manage it. That's the point of the skimmers. We're taking that water from the skimmer and we're sending it into multiple locations. One of the pipe systems is going all the way across to this other side. The other pump is sending the water through a 2-inch line, which kind of meanders its way through all of these pools, and we have a series of discharge points or underwater jets. This is going to give us better overall water quality. Installed several types of aquatic plants. So I love the papyrus back over here, helping to just transition some of those brown colored logs and things like that. So that little pop of green makes all the difference in the world. And then over here in the foreground, we came in with some beautiful tropical water lilies. This is going to shelter this entire area. We have an entry point right here for the flamingos to enter into the water for feeding purposes. So we want to create this little mini ecosystem over here. Then over on this side, they cut a notch out right there to connect these pools together. We have one under this log, and we have one over here. AquaBlox, bio balls, the biochar, all of that stuff, but we've come in over here, and we've really loaded this one up with aquatic plants. And I don't want it too thick because we want to have viewing corridors. We have a discharge point in the back. I'm trying to create a serpentine type of water flow going through it. This is the workhorse. We have a huge water distribution system going underneath this for sedimentation. Billions and billions of microorganisms which are going to help control the water quality for this amazing new habitat.